Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Iron Kaiser Gaming, and welcome to a very special video, as today I'm afforded the opportunity to provide you all a sneak peek on the upcoming civilizations in the brand new DLC for Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition Chronicles, Alexander the Great. We've got three civilizations to look at today: the Macedonians, the Puru, and the Thracians. So, I don't want to waste any of your time. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Just be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you'd like, and let me know in the comments below if you would like to see even more on this upcoming and really cool expansion for Age of Empires 2. Let's dive in. Alright, we're starting off with the stars of the show. It's the Macedonians, the homeland of Alexander the Great himself. And before we start talking about the Civ, I just have to really quickly say, this DLC is gorgeous. If you know anything about me, you know I'm an aesthetics guy. I really appreciate beautiful visuals, beautiful audio, and this DLC is chock full of aesthetics. I mean, every civilization has its own building sets, which are really cool. It's a real feast for the eyes, but my goodness, the music is so good. Not just the civilization themes, but Chronicles comes with its own soundtrack suite. I think that's new for Alexander the Great. I may be mistaken, but it is really a delight to listen to. Anyway, let's talk about these civilizations. So, the Macedonians, they're an infantry and cavalry civilization, and in my mind, I'm thinking of them as a very flexible, macro-oriented civilization. A really good choice for the strategists out there. Let's talk about it. First, you get 10% less damage from enemies on higher elevations. So, fighting uphill, it's not as bad as, any other Civ. I probably still would try to avoid fighting uphill, but if you have to take that fight, you're going to be taking a better fight than other Civs do. Let's skip recruitment doctrines. That's really cool, but very briefly, let's move down to this next one. Infantry armor upgrades apply to cavalry. I love this bonus. I think it gives you so much flexibility playing the Macedonians, because you can open up with maybe some infantry play, men-at-arms rush, something you want to get that armor upgrade for your infantry. And then if you realize you need to make the switch over to cavalry, well, you've already got the armor for your lancers, this version of the knights. You've already got the armor built in and ready to go, so it's just very easy to make that tech switch over. Or, of course, vice versa. You start off playing cavalry, and then you want to make an infantry switch. You got the armor right there. And for melee units, it's all about the infantry armor, or it's all about the armor, the melee armor, so that's pretty cool. This recruitment doctrines thing is really neat. You can set individual doctrines for the barracks, the archer ranges, and the stables. And what they do is they give you three options. You can either, spend resources like normal, and, they train like normal. It's all normal. Or you can switch to the conscript recruitment doctrine, which makes your units, in this case the archer range units, cost less food and wood, but they train a whole lot slower. Or I can have my units train way faster, but they're going to cost 10% more food or wood. Right, so I think this is an amazing technology, an amazing bonus for really strong macro-oriented, eco-oriented players. I think you can really supercharge either fight while booming your economy, as long as you've got the resource buildings, or if you've got the eco to spend, hey, just throw that into getting your units out even faster. And I can really see some cool plays with the Macedonians. Siege weapons have an additional pierce armor. That's really good if you get into a mangonel versus archer fight, that kind of thing. And 30% more damage against buildings. So, interesting. You're really able to siege down your opponent if you get that advantage. This is a strong Civ. You got two different unique units, the Companion Cavalry and the Phalangite. The Phalangite is really interesting. They have a minimum attack range, so I'd say they're probably not the best one-on-one, but if you're able to mass them up, I think they're a lot like the Kamayuk, where they have that range attack. Look at the massive Sarissa, if I remember correctly. The huge spear that they have. Very, very cool. Let's see, I think they've got some anti-cavalry, a little bit of anti-cavalry damage. I guess it doubles their damage against cavalry. So you've got that, but then also you know, just being able to mass up these units will make them a profound threat on the battlefield. The companion cavalry is pretty cool. He is like a mounted samurai from base AoE2, right? So it's a cavalry unit, deals bonus damage to unique units. You'll see that he's more expensive than your typical knight, or again, lancer in this case. The stats are pretty similar. He's got 1 more damage. Looks like less melee armor, but more pierce armor. Movement speed is slightly faster. So, and attack speed is slightly slower. So, you know, very similar units, but the main thing I think is that they do bonus damage to unique units. So, samurai on a horse, that's the companion cavalry. Unique text. This is really cool. Of course, in Chronicles, you've got 2 different options in the Castle Age and 2 options in the Imperial Age, and you can pick whichever one fits your strategy in that particular match. Either recruitment doctrines are even more effective, doubling down on those macro skills, or ends of the world, the fortified outposts receive a greater aura bonus and improved stats. What does that mean? Well, if we jumped out of the team bonus, outposts for the Macedonians and their allies can be individually upgraded into fortified outposts. So let's look at that really quickly. And there we go. We've got the fortified outpost. You see it only has an attack strength of 2, but it does make your units move 20% faster, and that does include villagers, so you can use this as kind of an eco bonus. It is still, you know, a defensive tower for very little stone cost, so maybe there's a world where you can get several of these around a critical area, and it would, you know, be a better defensive option for early game ecos than, you know, a regular outpost. Anyway, if you go with Ends of the World, fortified outposts receive greater aura bonuses and improved stats. I'm just going to pick that one right now, because why not? Ah, so I see. It adds an extra regeneration HP bonus for nearby units around the fortified outpost. In the Imperial Age, or, let's see, what do they call it? It is the Imperial Age, cool. You have the Pesatoroi. Phalangite minimum range is halved. Now, I think, so 0.5 is the minimum range. It'll drop down to 0.25 if you pick that option, making them even more flexible. And the Sarisophoroi, companion cavalry, gain a speed charge attack. So then, not only are they samurai on a knight, but also you kind of get a little bit of that, oh my goodness, the Lithuanian unique unit. I'm blanking on it. The comments will tell me. They'll remind me. But the Litus, right? Isn't it the Litus that has the charge attack? Or is it the Burgundian? No, it's the Burgundian Lancer. Anyway, whatever. You get an additional strength from your companion cavalry, which is... You've got the Imperial cavalry option as the Macedonian, so you could go down the regular Paladin route, but if you really like the companion cavalry, that's a really good choice. And we've already mentioned the team bonus. So, this is a really cool civ. Very good all-around civilization. Next up, we have the Puru, representing a civilization from the Indian subcontinent. Let's take a look. They are an archer and elephant civilization. Villagers gathering from stone also slowly gather food. So it's kind of like the Poles bonus, except you are gaining food instead of gold. And that's interesting. I don't know how that's going to change, you know, Puru build openings, right? Do you immediately get your villagers onto stone, or... it's just something nice to have in the back pocket. I think it might be a mistake to maybe get guys on stone too quickly, but it's a pretty nice combination there. Of course, a really great option if you're planning something like a tower rush or a fort rush. Speaking of, stone mines last 30% longer, so you're getting more stone from your stone miners. You are, of course, then getting more food from your stone as well, so that's a really nice synergy there. Villagers and fishing ships gather from oysters 15% faster. Oysters, of course, are a gold source that you find on water maps. And they don't really say this, but I think of the Puru as a really strong water civilization. Because of this bonus, I think it's a really nice bonus there. But then also, if we go down here, the Lemboi. Lemboi cost 10% less and receive 1 attack per age starting in the Civic Age. Now, in case you've not played Chronicles in a while, or you've not played it ever, one of the coolest features of Chronicles is that they've completely reworked the naval aspect of the game. And so, most of your military naval units come from the shipyard, unlocked in Age 2. Here's your galley, which should look familiar, your monoreem, a melee unit, the incendiary raft, basically demolition raft, right? But then you have the Lembos over here, which you can train. Think of it like a scout cav of the sea, right? It's a scouting warship. It's got a very weak melee attack, but it does bonus damage against galleys and catapult ships. Well, with the Puru bonus, you're getting extra attack strength on these units, and I think that'll serve to make them a much better all-around naval option. I could see a world where, if you're able to get control early with the Lembos, it's very hard, or it'll be harder, to lose it as the Puru. So I think they've got some really strong water options. Stable units heal 25 HP per minute when no enemies are nearby, starting in the Classical Age. Of course, a very nice regeneration bonus, but also a bonus that you have to think about it a little bit. You can't, because it's not just regenerating whenever. You have to let them sit and catch their breath in order to heal. So it's not quite as flexible as the Georgian bonus. I think if I'm not mistaken, the numbers are better for the Puru, but again, not as flexible. So I like that. I like that. We've got a couple of unique units here. The Patayora Longbowmen and the Sanaya, which is a cavalry. Sanaya are essentially your elephant unit, a heavy elephant unit. It resists bonus damage, so like, pikemen and that kind of thing, and conversion, but it requires 2 population space. This is a really cool thing. We've seen this in other Age of Empires games, but I don't think this is ever been the case in Age of Empires, where a unit will take up multiple population spots. But the Puru heavy elephants do take double pop space. They are still slow-moving units, so even though they resist conversion and, again, pike damage and that kind of thing, I can imagine that you still probably don't want to charge into an army of monks, or priestesses in this case. Nevertheless, they do have, blast damage, and they're just very strong, so if you get them on the enemy, they're in for a world of hurt. Meanwhile, the Patayora Longbowman, pretty cool. This guy right here, you see he's only got an attack of 7, which is not that different from... I pull up the regular archer here. Yeah, so we got, a little bit stronger than the laminated bowman, right? Not as much range, though. It's 1 less range. However, you do bonus damage when units get closer. Now, I've run some experiments. I don't really have a solid answer. Against villagers, it seems like if I go right up against them and hit my shot, they'll only take 1 extra damage. So instead, they'll take 8 damage instead of 7. But then against these, against spearmen, let me see if hoplites do this. Yeah, that was 9 damage there. And against spearmen, they would take 12 damage. So I'm not exactly sure how the numbers pan out there, but it's pretty cool. All right, let's talk about these unique techs. Vara Vara. There's no way I'm pronouncing that right, but your elephant units have improved trample damage. Cool. Or leaf-headed shafts. Patayora Longbowmen, point-blank range damage improved even further. I kind of like my Longbowmen more than I do my elephants personally, but it does provide you an interesting choice. Do you want to go more in the melee route, the sledgehammer, or do you appreciate the range and the flexibility that Longbowmen can provide you? Vedic teachings in the Imperial Age. Either every technology research at the Academy increases the villager work rate by 2% for a max of 20%. That is an incredible eco bonus. I love that. Or Skandavaras. Forts can be individually upgraded with emplacements. All right, interesting. So in the Imperial Age, you can upgrade your forts with either defensive emplacements, giving them a whole bunch more HP and armor, or offensive emplacements, giving them additional range and attack. Very cool. I like that. I like that. Whether you want better forts or better economy, though, I don't know. Trade carts move 15% faster is your team bonus. Pretty cool civ. I think the Puru have some really cool options available to them. They seem like a civilization that really gets going the longer the match goes on. Unless you're able to pull off some cool things on water maps with the Lemboy. Maybe you could do some really cool tower rush strategies, or early castle rush or something with the stone bonus. But they seem pretty neat, and they seem like a good late game civilization. Finally, we're looking at the Thracians. Let's dive in on these guys. They are an infantry civilization, but no. They're not an infantry civ. These guys are a skirmisher civilization. They may have the best skirmishers in the game, and let me talk about why. First, you get the Elite Skirmisher upgrade for free as soon as you hit Age 3, the Classical Age. That means that any massive skirmishers that you have roaming around, they are immediately Elite Skirmisher. On top of that, your skirms regenerate HP in the Civic and Classical Ages. I'm assuming that your skirms continue to regenerate that 10 HP in the Imperial Age. I would assume that doesn't go away, but you're not gaining anything extra in Imp at least. Battle Drills is available in the Classical Age. This is a new technology that is available in the Chronicles civilizations. Battle Drills, normally an Imperial Age tech. Your levy line units, which is to say your militia in Chronicles, they gain 3 extra attack. +1 versus buildings, that's like the arson bonus, kind of. A little bit of a weaker arson, but on top of the regular. +3 attack generically, +1 versus standard buildings, more versus shock infantry, and extra line of sights. This is an incredible technology for your infantry line. And with the Thracians, you get that in the Classical Age, in Age 3. So, I know that at the pro level, drushes, like men-at-arm rushes, and then just skirmisher play was the meta for quite a while. And I think it's still a very strong play at higher levels. And with the Thracians, the skirmishers, the really strong infantry options that they have, it seems like they would be a very, very good civilization for early aggression in this infantry skirm mold. All buildings, except for the town centers, can be built on any elevation. I've got to admit, I'm not entirely sure how useful this bonus will be. I believe what it's referring to is that normally, if you're trying to build, like, let's say a market, you kind of have to have it on level enough ground. But with the Thracians, you have more flexibility. So it's easier to make a base out of rocky terrain and hilly terrain, which is, a nice bonus to have, but I don't think it'll inform your strategy a whole lot. I might be wrong. Forts and towers increase the work rate of nearby miners and lumberjacks, and they serve as resource drop sites. Again, I see this as a really awesome bonus that could work one of two ways. You could either play it defensively if you know that you're going to get archer rushed, then you can preemptively throw down a tower on, gold pile, stone pile, whatever, your wood line, and actually use that tower as your drop-off point. It's really cool. Plus, they're going to be working better. The miners and lumberjacks will work faster. You might as well go ahead and build one of those now and see how much faster. Let's see, right now, I actually am not able to see I don't know off the top of my head what the rate of increase is. I'm going to guess probably like 10%, but I'm not sure about that. Anyway, but I'm looking at it as the drop site part is really neat. Because you can use it defensively, or if you're going for some kind of tower rush. We talked about how the Puru might be able to do a really good tower rush, but with these guys, same thing. You can do a tower rush and then actually collect your enemy's resources with that forward watchtower. right? Very, very cool option available for the Thracians there. You back that up with that infantry play, the skirm play, just some really cool early game options. Shepherds and hunters slowly generate gold while gathering from animals. Again, another really nice early game bonus. That extra gold trickle, just enough to afford, you know, the, I want to say the Men-at-Arms upgrade. The Maceman upgrade, right? Unless you maybe afford an extra infantry unit or a technology. It's really nice, especially if you are luring in deer or you're collecting your deer, your chickens or what have you. Really cool bonus. The Romphia Warrior is your Thracian unique unit. He costs food and gold, unlike the Spearman's food and wood, but he's basically just a stronger version of a Spearman. A more well-rounded all-arounder. You see he's got double the attack strength of the Guardsman. He's a little weaker against cavalry, but really not a whole lot weaker. I think it's only 4 damage points base. Neither one has any melee or pierce armor. The Romphia, whoa, he attacks a lot faster. So I just take it back. This guy's just better. He's just better. If you have the resources and you need to fight against a cavalry army, he even moves faster too. Yeah, Romphia Warrior, very cool. Very, very neat. Unique text, you've got some really interesting ones. In the classical age, you're getting resources one way or the other. Do you go with Odomantian Raiders, which means your infantry and cavalry gain gold every time they kill enemies? Or do you go with DE Plunderers, spears, your swordsman line, essentially, as well as your hoplites. And the Romphia Warrior gain wood, food, or gold, respectively, from damaging enemy buildings. Huh. Interesting. I think, so with the Romphia, you're getting gold, but with the others, it's wood or food. So you could kind of, like, this is all gold. This is kind of spread out across your economy. I could see a world where some interesting strategic choices have to be made. Which one makes more sense for how your match is playing out? Then in Imp, we have Bessian Metalworking. The Levy Line, Lance Line, and Romphia Warriors, they strip armor from targets when attacking. That is insane. That means that the Obuch, the Polish unique unit, that bonus of stripping away armor, is now getting applied to your swordsmen, your knights, and your unique unit. So it's like most of your army at that point is doing a whole bunch of damage here. And then, where was I? Oh, Peltas. If you've got that massive skirmishers, you want to talk about the best skirms in the game. Peltas, skirmishers deal pass-through damage. They become mini scorpions. That is insane. And very, very cool. The team bonus, by the way, also neat. Buildings have +3 line of sight. It's very easy to overlook, but that makes your early game just so much smoother. You know, as you are going around your town center trying to find your resources, or again, if you're going for that aggressive tower play, you're just able to see that much further. So it's a very nice bonus to have. So the Thracians, they're pretty neat. I see some really cool opening options for the Thracian civilization. Those are the 3 civilizations coming in Age of Empires 2 Chronicles Alexander the Great. The DLC is coming out on October 14th, so keep your eyes peeled. Definitely consider picking this one up because I can tell there's been a lot of love and care and attention that's been put into this DLC. And while you're at it, consider once again liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and let me know in the comments below if you want to see more Chronicles gameplay here at Iron Kaiser Gaming. I've got to give a tip of the hat to Microsoft and World's Edge, and especially the guys over at Capture Age for bringing me on board and allowing me to showcase these civilizations for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this really quick preview of what each civilization is able to bring to the table. For now, this is the Iron Kaiser over at Iron Kaiser Gaming, signing off. Have a great one out there, everybody.